Hey, what's up everybody, MT2 Gaming here. The 2000s were such an amazing time for video games. Consoles like the GameCube and Xbox were released, as well as the now best-selling console of all time, the PS2. Handheld consoles were also improving with the DS and PSP. The 2000s is also the generation of games that I grew up with, and they're probably my favorite. Now, what counts as a game from the 2000s? Well, for this list, it's going to be any game released between the year 2000 and 2009. Any games released later than that will be considered games from the 2010s. Alright, now that I've said all that, I hope you enjoy as I count down my top 10 favorite games from the 2000s. I hope you enjoyed the video, and with that said, let's begin. Number 10. Kicking off the list is Godzilla Unleashed on the Nintendo Wii. It was hard choosing between the Wii version and the PS2 version, but I went with the game on the Wii because it has more characters than the PS2 game. Godzilla Unleashed is a great fighting game, with easy to learn controls and a short but easy story mode. Also, it has a lot of great characters from the movies, which is awesome. I'm a big fan of the movies, and getting to fight as them in an excellent fighting game is a dream come true. Number 9. I'm not a very big fan of sports, but I am a big fan of video games. And luckily, when I got a Wii, a little game called Wii Sports came in with it. Wii Sports features 5 different sports: tennis, baseball, golf, boxing, and my personal favorite, bowling. It's a great game that you can play alone or with friends. It's easy to spend hours playing this game because it's so simple yet so fun. Number 8. Coming up next on the list is Plants vs. Zombies, the simple yet addictive computer game that took the world by storm. Plants vs. Zombies features a variety of plants you can use to defend your home against a variety of zombies that you can defeat. One thing I really enjoy about this game is its cartoony art style. The game also has a ton of really fun bonus levels after you beat the game, like the puzzles, minigames, and my personal favorite, survival. And luckily, it's really easy to play the game as it's available on the PC, iOS, PS3, Xbox, and more. Number 7. Nintendo is full of iconic characters, and ever since 1999, we've been able to play as them in a fighting series known as Super Smash Bros. And so, coming up next is Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Super Smash Bros. Brawl is probably my favorite game in the Smash Bros. Series. It was the first Smash Bros. Game I ever played, and it was the one I grew up playing. Super Smash Bros. Brawl brings together almost all the characters from the previous games. It had improved graphics, better fighting controls, and you could even create your own levels, which was my favorite part of the game. Number 6. Up next is definitely the most visually stunning game on the list. Coming up next is Shadow of the Colossus. A wonderful game with amazing gameplay, a great story, and of course the beautiful looking Colossi. They look so beautiful that you almost feel bad about defeating one of them. It's an amazing game that pushed the PS2 to the limits in terms of graphical capability, and the PS4 remake is also an amazing game, and I would highly recommend it if you haven't played it yet. Number 5. Are you a fan of crazy weapons in video games? If so, then you'll be happy because next on the list is Jak 3. This game continues the story and gameplay of Jak 2, but thankfully it's not nearly as difficult as Jak 2. It's much easier and much more enjoyable. The game featured many items from the second game and greatly improved on them. It also threw in some new stuff to keep the gameplay fresh and interesting. It was a close call deciding between this game and the original, but in the end I realized I enjoyed playing Jak 3 just a bit more than the original. Number 4. Coming up next is the fantastic, super underrated licensed video game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, one of my favorite 3D platformers of all time. The game is easy to learn controls, fantastic level design, amazing boss battles, and it takes the source material and uses it to perfection, having many references from the show and other forms of entertainment. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, I would highly recommend it, as it's not only a great licensed SpongeBob game, it's an amazing 3D platformer and an instant classic. It's easily one of my favorites, and all the people I have talked to that have played it absolutely loved it. Number 3. Up next is the first console game and the first 3D platformer I ever played in my life. Coming up next is Sly 2 Band of Thieves. Sly 2 took everything from the first game and greatly improved on them. It had bigger levels, improved graphics, bigger hub worlds, and you could play as Bentley and Murray on the field. It's also probably the Sly game that featured the most stealth. It also threw in some fun distractions like pickpocketing guards or finding valuable treasures that you can sell on ThiefNet. The game had a return to clockwork and a lot more great twists along the way. The game is a classic and it's one of my personal favorite games of all time. Number 2. The runner-up on my list is Ratchet Clank Up Your Arsenal. This game has Ratchet Clank going back to Veldon, the galaxy from the first game, where you run into a lot of familiar faces and some new ones, as you go on a dangerous adventure to stop the evil Dr. Nefarious from turning everyone in the galaxy into robots. It also took the upgradable weapons and armor from the second game and improved on them. It also has you going back to some levels from the first game, and some new ones to keep the gameplay fresh and entertaining. Throw in a couple of extra fun mini-games and you've got yourself what I consider one of the greatest games of all time. Number 1. Number 1 on my list is a game you're probably going to be surprised by. My favorite game from the 2000s is Sonic Unleashed. It was the first Sonic game I played to completion and I absolutely loved it. Its gameplay was amazing, I loved its story, it had great characters, and it's a shame that this game is as underrated as it is because I absolutely love it. A lot of people were not fans of the Werehog, but I have no problem with it. In fact, I prefer the nighttime Werehog stages than the normal daytime Sonic stages. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the daytime stages, I love them both. But I like the Werehog stages a bit more. They were longer and had nice combat. The game also has RPG elements, which I'm a big fan of. I also want to mention that I absolutely love the design of the Dark Gaia enemies. They look beautiful, especially the bosses. They look amazing. It's a game I can easily keep playing again and again and never get bored of, which is why it's my favorite game from the 2000s and one of my favorite games of all time. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then please make sure to rate, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And if you want to support the making of future videos, then make sure to check out my Patreon page, where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. And check out my Twitter for video updates. With that said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!